Welcome back, guys. So obviously, this is the car we picked up a little while ago, and we had a turn of unfortunate events. We took this car to a local race, and there was probably about 30 cars there. Probably, I think there were 7 of us in Cash Bash or Cash Days, whatever you want to call it. And I guess I just want to talk about, before I show you the car, talk about for a minute kind of the turn of events that led to this car being down. So first pass was really bad, cold street. We were the first pair. Car didn't hook at all. So second pass, me and him decided to rerun. We both left pretty good. It was a really, really good race. We were very close. The third round, he decided that, so I let off early in the pass. We ended up being pretty damn close on the finish line. I believe he technically won by a fender or bumper or whatever.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
I wasn't wearing my glasses and I'm blind as shit, so it doesn't work when you're supposedly, allegedly going fast on the road.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
So I would have been, I guess, out that round, which is fine by me. This was just a kind of a test and tune for us. I wanted to see what the car would do, what the car liked.
It was all bullshit.
So anyways, he ended up having some issues with his motor. He decided to let me run his pass as basically forfeited his spot to me. So that was pretty cool. That round, I noticed that the car was having charging issues. I noticed the car runs kind of in between 16 and 17 volts, if I remember right. And I pulled it up to the line, put it on the chip, and I noticed that the voltage was down to like 10, 9.5, 10. I was like, well, that's not good. So for some reason, my brain thought was, well, I got the light bar, and that still worked throughout this whole ordeal, which is odd. But I said, I got the light bar, so what I'm going to do is make my pass, and when I get to the end, at the finish line, I will turn the car around and flash my light bar, which the people that were with me would bring the trailer down, or the rig down, and we would drag it back and charge it for the final round. This was my thought process, because we were basically done. We had this race and one more. So I said, well, if we can limp it through these 2 last rounds, we'll figure out the charging issue when we get home. This is where things went wrong. So halfway down, I lost headlights. So I mean, it's pitch black. I can't see anything. The car behind me was a ways back, so I couldn't. With his headlights, I still couldn't see anything. So I slammed on the brakes, pulled the car kind of off a little bit because I knew he was coming. I let him pass me, and as soon as he passed me, I reached down and fumbled around and got the light bar on, and I turned the car around. And as I was turning the car around, I lost power about mid-turn. The EFI, the Holy dash went dead. Everything went dead, and I knew that the car was out of power. So, for some reason, the light bar still worked. So at this point, I'm sideways in the road, and the guy that was racing me came back. He's seen the car. I was flashing the light bar. He's seen it. He kind of went around, pulled over next to me, and jumped out. And he was like, "Hey, is everything all right?" And I explained what happened. So he started helping me push the car off the road. And yeah, so we got the car kind of pushed back. At this point, everybody who was at the finish line came down and was helping us move the car back and forth. Well, probably about 30 seconds before we had the car pushed the correct way on the side of the road, everything would have been fine. I was outside the car, steering the car, and I looked over my shoulder and seen headlights coming. And unbeknownst to me, a spectator, for some reason, decided to leave the race down the road that both of us had just made a pass down within not even 5 minutes of us leaving. Neither one of us had come back to the pits yet. Neither one of us had made any, there was headlights on the road. We were both still down at the end out of the end of the track. So I looked over my shoulder, seeing the headlights, and by this time I kind of stopped and watched the car. And when I noticed the car wasn't slowing down, I yelled at everybody that was helping me push the car and just basically to get away from it. We all took a step back, and he hit the side of this car about 60 miles an hour. The car went off into a ditch, and it tore it up pretty bad. It's frustrating to even talk about it because, you know, this is such a letdown to me, I guess. You know, it's just somebody's pride and joy that we took over, and you know, it was a very unfortunate thing that happened. It should have been avoided. I don't know how the driver didn't see 7, 8 people standing on the road with flashlights, walking around the car. I get the car's black. I get it was nighttime, but why they decided to do 60 miles an hour while people were walking around on the road is unbeknownst to me. I don't know what the reasoning behind that was. I was told that he wasn't drinking and driving, but with that lack of attention, I have no idea what happened. I don't know if he just didn't see us or what, but that doesn't matter. So they watered up the driver's side of the car pretty bad. I'm thankful that nobody got hurt. I'm thankful that I wasn't in the car. But yeah, I mean, it's a really frustrating deal. You know, it's one of those. It could have been avoided had somebody was paying attention a little bit better than that they were. It's just one of those things that somebody else's stupid decisions cost me a ton of labor in transferring all this over, which I'll talk about in a minute. That's where we're going with this video. So everything drivetrain wise is fine. Engine, trans. I drove the car into the shop. I drove it off the trailer, drove it around here at the house. Everything works. Trans brake, everything still works. The rear end is not straight anymore, unfortunately. So looking at the rear end, I can tell that one of two things happened. Either it twisted the body mounts over and pushed the rear end sideways in the car, or it ka-chowed my wheel, which would suck. That would really suck. But, I mean, at the end of the day, there is a lot of things that got damaged, but nobody lost their life and nobody left in an ambulance. So I'm pretty grateful for that. I mean, cars are replaceable. Everything on this thing's replaceable. It sucks that this happened, but it's not the end of the world. We'll just build it back bigger and badder than it was. So, having said that, I will walk around the car and kind of show you what the condition of this unit is currently. And then we're going to get to work on removing things. And I'll kind of explain my idea of how this is going to work. And then I'll explain why it's probably not going to work. And then we'll go from there. And I don't really know. I don't have plans right now. It's kind of just I'm going to start cutting stuff off and then underneath my other one. Speaking of that, I should mention real quick, I do have a 1970 Chevy Nova, two-door Nova, that everything out of this car is going into. This is a 77 Nova, and we're going to basically just try to remove the unit as one, jam it in the other one, so we can go racing. We're probably not going to be racing this year. This is quite a bit of work to make this happen, but we will be back for next year. There's some events here locally I want to go to that we were supposed to go to this year, but that did not happen. So enough of me flapping. Let's walk around it, and then we'll talk about the game plan. So I'm going to reveal it. I don't know if I should. Who cares? Nobody watches this anyways. Anyways, we're going to name this car Madam Misfire. That is the name of the car. I do have a pretty wild paint, whatnot scheme for the next body that we're going to do. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a pretty wicked rig when it's all said and done. Excuse the mess in the shop. I'm in the middle of painting another car right now. And yeah, other projects sitting over there. But anyways, so start right here up front. The exhaust got pretty smashed. That, I believe, I don't really know how that happened, to be honest. This might have been my fault when we were, because I ended up strapping the frame to pull the car was sitting. So this was the road right here. This is how the car was sitting. It was basically directly straight on, sideways on the road. However, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. So we ended up having to strap the car. I had my buddy jump in the passenger or the driver's seat, and he steered the car, and we got it up back up straight on the road. And doing that, it kind of twisted, you know what I'm talking about. And I think during that, it smash-related the exhaust, which, whatever, it happens. That's a pretty insignificant deal, but the rest of the front is pretty boogered up. Oh, as you can see that, she's got a little more, tripping over everything in the shop, a little more aerodynamic wind. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Same thing here. Broke that, and that's pretty much it, actually. It didn't tear up the front that bad. I basically just cracked the corners, and that broke that side. This side really didn't have any damage on it. This this isn't really that big of a deal. It's fiberglass, so it's a pretty easy fix to repair that, and we'll probably end up patching the holes and some other things on this front end as we put it back on the new body. But we'll get to the main meat and potatoes, what everybody wants to see. So I'm going to do my best to make this as least shaky as possible. But yeah, so if you see somewhere here in this general area, there is a little bit of damage. Not much. It should buff out, but just a hair. So obviously this is where he hit it. Yeah, it's, I wish that was true at the moment, but it is not. If you look in here, this cage basically, you can kind of see down in there, better lighting, but that bar there saved this whole side of the car. If this bar wasn't here, it would have bananaed this thing, something fierce. It hit it hard enough that it split the roof seam on the top. Blew both windows out, which somehow that one didn't break. Nothing else broke besides the driver passenger door window. I'm not sure what's up with that. But if you look at the wheel, it doesn't look that bad on camera, but she's a little crab walkered. So we're gonna have to look into that. Yeah, it wrinkled this whole quarter panel up. This really shows how bad it is. Yeah. So as you can, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little buggered. It moved it over probably about a couple inches there. What we would say is average. Wrinkled the roof up there. What was pretty gnarly is that it ripped the floor back here and done blew a hole on that side. So I'm not really sure how that happened. Yeah, I really don't know. But I know I don't seem that upset about it, but this was a couple months ago, so I'm not as pissed as I was at the moment. Trying to make light of this, but it did tear stuff up pretty bad. It threw the battery, all this battery connection stuff, the dead man switch, everything back here is destroyed. Besides the battery. Battery's fine. The parachute mount, from what I can see, is okay. I think it broke the bolt that goes in there, so it's removable. But I think the actual mount itself is fine. The cable's obviously not good anymore. It tore up the parachute actually deployed when he hit it somehow. It deployed it when he hit the side of the car, so this was in the road and got pretty, I don't really know. I'm going to have to unfold all this stuff and see what's usable. I'll probably end up replacing that just for caution, I guess. It's not really something I want to play with safety-wise. These are parts of his car that spectators were so kindly to give to me, I guess. Broke my bumper, which sucks. That's all fiberglass too. We're going to try to save that. I'm not sure how much of that's really going to be good. I mean, fiberglass is fiberglass. It's a little duct tape, Bondo, back in business. You can see on this side of the car how much it pushed that rear end over. This tire, you can see on the line there, that's where that had originally rubbed on the road or on the fender when we launched it off the trans brake. So it moved it over quite a bit. Yeah, I'll climb under here and show you a couple other things and talk about what the next plan of attack is. So it tore, let me put this thing down. It tore this, split this seam here. You can see daylight through there, which, you know, actually when you're doing your burnout and you're hauling the mail, the air goes right up through here and right on your back. So it's actually there for a reason. It's kind of air conditioning. Yeah, so looking at the housing and everything else underneath this car, it doesn't look to be bent in any way. It's hard to tell, honestly, until I get some of the stuff unbolted and let it clang back to where it should be to really understand what got bent, per se. You probably can't see it, but that bar right there saved that whole subframe from getting whacked. I guess tweaked up but like I said, everything back here seems to be okay. So thankfully, I think the worst thing that happened that I'm seeing is that anti-roll bar link got broke. But as far as that, well, you can see that right there. See how much room we got sticking out of that bar right there. And then look at that side. Uh-oh. So yeah, it pushed her over quite a bit. But yeah, so we're going to end up taking a lot of this out and then just kind of looking at it, I guess, and replacing what we think is bad and what we think is salvageable we'll reuse. But I don't really want to play around with things that are bent or whatever, trying to make stuff work. We'll just replace it. So there you have it. I mean, all in all, it jacked the car up pretty bad. And I know I'm trying to make light of it. I'm still pretty sour about it. I did talk to the people that were running the event, and I gave them a few words of encouragement, we'll say. A lot of that, everything in that whole ordeal could have been avoided. Unfortunately, it cost me the car for right now. Everything, you know, I hate to be just sitting on here crying, but it sucks because we had the car for a week and this happened. So it's really unfortunate. It's kind of one of those, it is what it is type deals. So I'm kind of, I guess, done flapping my lips about it for today. You guys have seen that. So as of right now, the game plan is we're going to lop the tubes off underneath the dash and cut the frame connectors as far back as I can from wherever I think is the straightest part of the car. I'm going to have to do some measurements and whatnot to make sure that's not tweaked. But the idea is to unbolt the subframe from the body, take everything from the firewall and just kind of flop it over. We're going to cut the two tubes underneath the dash. I will brace the tube to the subframe. Before that, we'll weld a tube on both sides just so it doesn't move or anything. Kind of brace everything up, and then we'll roll this whole unit out as one. I'll bring the other Nova in here, and we'll roll that right underneath the other one. And then I'll just re-rail the car to the rear subframe, and we'll tie in. I got some ideas on the cage if we're going to reuse parts of it, or there's some things I want to change, some things I want to upgrade on it. I'd like to X-bar some stuff and brace up some more portions of the cage. I'd like a roll or a driver loop in it. Sorry, it's been a long day, but I'd like a driver loop in it to make it, I don't know, make me feel better, I guess, in case something ever did happen on a run. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's just a lot of time, a lot of, not necessarily money, just a lot of time that I really wasn't anticipating putting into it right now. We always wanted to swap it over to the 70 just for the body style. That's literally the only reason, but that's a lot of work that we were going to put off for quite a while before I did that, but apparently not. Apparently we're doing it right now. So yeah, pretty much we're going to start working on getting this thing over. I don't know how long it's going to take me to do this, to be honest. I do work quite a bit, so yeah, we'll drain the fuel system out of it and lube everything up so nothing gets tore up from sitting, and start the process. So I think that'll be it for this video. I've been flapping my lips long enough in this one. I will be continuing to record, and I'll make another video kind of process of starting this. But I'm hoping if my attention span is long enough, a little bit more than this, that I will record the majority of it. So whoever cares can watch, we can watch the process of rebuilding this. So, yep, that's where we're at. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe and do the thing so you can know when I post more stuff. If you guys want to watch more consistent updates, I'm usually on TikTok and other medias out there. Same name as it is on my channel if you guys want to check it out. But as of right now, that's pretty much gonna do it. So yep, catch you guys on the next one.